The vultures found her first. 3 of them circled low over the dry wash, black wings cutting slow patterns against a blood-red sunset. They moved with patience, the kind that only came from knowing death had nowhere left to go. Below them, in the red dirt of the Texas desert, a woman crawled forward inch by inch. Her fingernails were broken to the quick. Blood streaked her back where cloth had torn away. Her lips were split and swollen, her breath shallow and uneven. 3 days without water. 3 days of sun burning her skin by day and cold stealing her strength by night. She had been left there to die. Sam Bridger saw the birds from his corral. He stood with one hand resting on the neck of a black Mustang stallion, a wild animal he had been trying to break for 3 weeks. The horse was all muscle and fury, teeth bared, a hoof striking the dirt, eyes full of fire. Sam liked that about him. He understood wild things. He had lived like one himself for 5 long years. 5 years of silence. 5 years of fences and horses and empty nights. 5 years since he had taken off his gun belt and walked away from the man he used to be. The Mustang suddenly froze. Its ears pinned forward. Its nostrils flared. Its eyes locked on the distant sky where the vultures circled. Sam followed the horse's gaze. Something dead out there, or dying. He turned back to his work. Whatever lay in that wash was not his concern. He had made promises to himself when he came to this canyon. No more trouble. No more violence. No more stepping into other people's blood and pain. He had buried enough of that in his past. Whatever those birds were waiting on could stay where it was. But the Mustang would not settle. It paced and snorted, pawing at the dirt, pushing closer to the canyon entrance. It was like the animal was trying to drag him toward something Sam did not want to see. He muttered a curse under his breath. He had learned long ago to trust horses. They sensed things men missed. This one was telling him something was wrong. Against his better judgment, Sam saddled his mare and rode toward the wash. The vultures scattered when he approached, heavy wings lifting them into a dead cottonwood nearby. They were patient creatures. They could wait. Whatever lay in the dirt was not going anywhere. What Sam found stopped his heart cold. Not a corpse. Something worse. A woman lay face down in the red dust. Her dress was torn to ribbons. Her back was a map of scars and open wounds. Some were fresh, yet still bleeding into the fabric. Others were old, raised white lines crossing her skin like the marks of a whip used again and again. Her face was swollen and discolored, bruises in shades of purple and yellow. One eye was completely shut. Dark finger-shaped marks circled her throat. She was not dead. She was crawling. Her broken fingernails clawed at the dirt. Her knees dragged raw through cloth and skin. She moved toward nothing Sam could see, driven by a single thought left in her body. Water. Sam dismounted slowly, careful, the way you approached a wounded animal. "Ma'am," she flinched so hard her whole body jerked. She tried to crawl faster, then collapsed face first into the dirt. The sound she made was half sob, half moan. "Easy," Sam said. "I'm not going to hurt you." Her one working eye found his face, gray-green, hard as a storm sky. There was no fear in it, no begging, no hope, only defiance. "Kill me," she rasped. Her voice sounded like sand dragged over stone. "Kill me, or leave me." The words hit Sam like a blow. She was not asking for help. She was not asking to be saved. She was asking to die where she lay, on her own terms. For a moment, Sam considered walking away. He thought about the last time he had tried to help someone, about screaming and blood and a small body going still in a mother's arms, about a 6-year-old girl named Emma, and the sound her mother made when the world ended. He had sworn that day he would never again be responsible for another life. He had come to this canyon to disappear. But this woman was still fighting. Even now, with nothing left, she had crawled for days instead of giving up. Now that kind of will deserved something. If not saving, then at least dignity. "I'm not going to kill you," Sam said quietly, "and I'm not going to leave you." She let out a broken laugh. "Then you're a fool." "Probably," he said, "but I'm a fool with water and a roof. You can make your choice tomorrow." He lifted her carefully. She weighed almost nothing, skin and bone and stubbornness. She passed out before they reached the horse, whispering in a fevered haze. "Don't take me back. He'll kill them all. The children." Sam carried her home with a knot forming in his gut. When he cleaned her wounds that night, he found something sewn into the lining of her dress, a small leather journal and a torn piece of map. He did not open them. Whatever secrets she carried were hers. His only job was to keep her alive. While Clara Wells woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of boots on wood, she did not move, did not open her eyes. Old habits. She listened, counted steps, judged distance. Pain flared in her ribs, but nothing felt broken. Someone had cleaned and bandaged her wounds. She wore a man's cotton shirt, soft and worn. The cabin smelled of smoke and horses and something honest. She opened one eye. The cabin was small and clean. A stove, a table, a rifle by the door. The man stood with his back to her, pouring coffee. He was tall, lean, with dark hair streaked with gray. When he turned, she saw the scar down his cheek. "You're awake," he said, keeping his distance. "How do you feel?" "Like I lost a fight with the desert," she croaked. He almost smiled. "My name's Sam Bridger," he said. "You're safe here." That the word felt strange in her chest. She learned over the next days that Sam did not push. He gave her choices. He slept outside. He never touched her without permission. When he told her he had found a journal sewn into her dress and had not read it, something inside her shifted. On the 4th night, she spoke. "My husband did this," she said. "His name is Victor Crane." Sam knew the name. Everyone did. Mining money, railroads, politics, power. Clara told him about the children, about the journal, about guns sold to enemies and blood money earned on both sides, about being beaten and dumped in the desert to die. "I'm going to destroy him," she said, "or die trying." Before Sam could answer, hoofbeats echoed in the canyon. A rider appeared, Elijah Crow, tracker, half Comanche, one of the few men Sam trusted. "I was hired to find her," Eli said, "but I'm here to warn you. Victor Crane sent killers. They're already looking." Morning found the three of them on the porch, deciding whether to run or fight. And far away, powerful men were already moving. The quiet life Sam Bridger had built was about to end. They did not argue about leaving. When men like Victor Crane started hunting, time became something you borrowed, not owned. Sam packed supplies while Clara wrapped herself in a shawl and steadied her breathing. Eli stood watch at the edge of the canyon, eyes scanning the ridges like a man who knew how death moved when it thought no one was looking. They rode out before the sun fully rose. The land turned rough fast. Narrow canyons, dry riverbeds, places where sound carried and mistakes got you killed. And Sam led them through trails only locals knew, places too tight for large groups to move quickly. During the day, they hid in rock overhangs. At night, they traveled under stars so bright they felt close enough to touch. Clara learned quickly. Sam showed her how to find water where the ground dipped just right, how to tell safe plants from deadly ones, how to move without leaving clear tracks. He gave her a knife and showed her how to hold it, not like a weapon, but like a last promise to herself. "I don't want you killing anyone," he said. "I want you to survive." She listened. She practiced. She remembered. On the third night, rain trapped them inside a shallow cave. Clara watched Sam work by firelight, mending leather with steady hands. She finally asked about the scar on his face. He told her about Emma, about the shot that went wrong, about the child who died because he was trying to be fast instead of careful, about the promise he made to never fire a gun again. "You might be relying on a broken man," he said. Clara shook her head. Broken doesn't mean finished. That night, she woke screaming. Sam did not touch her. He sat across the cave and talked. About stars, about horses, about ordinary things. He stayed awake until morning. By the time they reached the outskirts of Redstone, Eli returned with grim news. Victor Crane was already there. Los Diablos were everywhere. Guns on every corner. Clara's face was being shown around town. And worse than that, Eli revealed the truth he had been holding back. Victor had not hired him first. Marcus Crane had. Victor's brother. The quiet one. The careful one. Marcus had known about the journal long before Clara ran. He had been watching, waiting, planning to let Victor fall and clean up what remained. And there was more. A federal marshal named Thomas Harding had been traveling with Victor, pretending to be his ally. He was building a case from the inside. Marcus planned to kill him and blame Clara. They were walking straight into a trap, so they decided to spring it. They split up, entering Redstone. Clara went to the Red Diamond Saloon, run by Ruby Mallister. Ruby took one look at her bruises and gave her a room without asking questions. Sam watched Victor's hotel from a high point until a gun pressed into his back. Marshal Thomas Harding revealed himself. He had evidence, years of it, but he needed Clara's journal. And then he told Sam the truth. Clara was his daughter. He had abandoned her mother, spent decades trying to make up for it in silence. That night they gathered in Ruby's back room. A desperate plan took shape. Copies of the evidence would be sent to the governor. Clara would confront Victor publicly. Harding would arrest him in front of witnesses. Before anything could happen, gunfire tore through the saloon. Victor's men had found them. Chaos followed. Smoke, screams, running feet. Clara fought her way toward the back door, knife flashing just as Sam had taught her. She almost made it. Victor blocked her path. He smiled as he dragged her outside and threw her over a horse. The saloon burned behind them. Sam fired from an upper window, but it was too late. Victor Crane took her home, to the mansion, to the room where she had suffered for 4 years. For 2 days, he did not beat her. He threatened her with hope, with stories of Sam being hunted, with the pain he could still cause. When she refused to break, he showed her what refusal cost others. Sam did not stop moving. He gathered Eli, Harding, and allies who hated Crane for their own reasons. They entered through an old mine shaft under the mansion. Sam picked up a gun for the first time in 5 years. His hands shook, then steadied. He fired. They reached Clara in the cellar. She took Sam's hand and stood. They almost escaped. Victor caught them at the bridge leading south. He used Clara as a shield. Sam offered him a choice. Victor chose cruelty. Clara struck first. Sam fired once. Victor Crane fell, but the danger was not over. Marcus Crane was still alive, and he was already on his way. Victor Crane's body lay in the dust at the edge of Diablo Canyon, the wind already beginning to cover his blood with sand. Clara stood frozen, her chest heaving, her hands shaking so hard she could barely feel her fingers. Sam was beside her in an instant, steadying her without trapping her, his presence solid and real. "It's over," he said softly. She wanted to believe him, but deep down, they both knew it was not. Marcus Crane was still alive. They returned to Redstone under cover of night. Word of Victor's death spread fast, but instead of relief, just the town held its breath. Men like Victor did not rule alone. They left shadows behind, and shadows moved quietly. Marshal Thomas Harding was waiting when they arrived. He looked older than he had days before, like the weight of truth had finally settled on his shoulders. Clara faced him in silence, knowing now who he was to her, and not knowing what to feel. "I never meant for you to find out this way," Harding said. "You should have told me," Clara replied. Her voice was calm, but firm. "But what's done is done. What matters now is stopping Marcus." Harding nodded. "He'll come himself. Men like him always do." Marcus Crane arrived at dawn. No guards, no show of force, just a well-dressed man stepping off his horse like he was arriving for a business meeting. He walked into the Red Diamond Saloon and asked for Clara by name. But they met across a scarred wooden table. Marcus was nothing like his brother. Where Victor had been loud and cruel, Marcus was quiet and precise. His eyes revealed nothing. "You've caused quite a disruption," he said calmly. "My brother is dead. The business is collapsing. All because you refuse to stay in your place." Clara leaned forward. "You mean the place where women suffer in silence?" Marcus smiled faintly. "You misunderstand. I'm here to offer peace." "There is nothing left to negotiate," she said. "The journal is already gone." That flicker in his eyes told her she was right. Before he could speak again, soldiers entered the saloon. Warrants were read. Charges spoken aloud where the whole town could hear. Marcus reached for a hidden gun, moving faster than most men ever could. John Harding stepped in front of Clara without thinking. The shot hit him square in the chest. Sam fired a heartbeat later. Marcus Crane fell where he stood. Clara caught Harding as he collapsed. Blood soaked through his shirt. His breath came shallow and broken. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "for everything." She held his hand. "I forgive you." That was all he needed. The trials lasted weeks. The truth spilled out piece by piece. Victor's crimes, Marcus's schemes, the guns, the blood money, the lives destroyed. The empire collapsed under its own weight. Clara testified. She told everything. The courtroom listened in silence. When it was over, she buried the children she had lost and the father she had just found. 4 stones stood together on a quiet hillside. "I couldn't save you," she whispered, "but I made sure it meant something." Time passed. Sam's canyon changed. The cabin grew into a home. A small clinic stood nearby, where Clara used her hands to heal instead of endure. Women came who needed safety. Children came who needed love. Sam watched it all grow, watched Clara stand stronger each day. One winter evening, he took her hand and offered her a simple silver ring. "I won't leave you," he said. "Not ever." She said yes. Spring returned to the canyon with wildflowers and new life. Clara stood on the porch, one hand resting on her belly, watching Sam teach children how to gentle a horse. The black Mustang grazed nearby. still wild, still free. She smiled. She had been broken, but she was never finished.